Welcome and welcome back, everybody, to the OK Grognard Show. Today is Wednesday, November 26, 2025, 10 a.m. Central in beautiful Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. And today we're talking about the first edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Dungeon Master's Guide section on player character expenses. If you hear some rattling in the background, don't be alarmed. We're experiencing some high winds here in Lake Geneva today, and I live in an old building, and the windows are rattling. And hopefully, the house doesn't begin to twitch, because we've had more than a few. I've only moved up here a decade and a half ago, approximately, and we've had more than a few high winds get a little higher and result in tornadoes coming, and some touchdowns just outside, and actually there was some right down by the lake and right in town. So I say outside of town, but within city limits, really, because it took the roof off of Peck and Weiss out there, and delayed the building of Imagine Theater that year that was under construction, and some of the partially built structure was whipped apart, and it pushed that back. So it's just the nature of nature, right? Anyway, we're talking about the Dungeon Master's Guide in that section on PC expenses. Player character expenses. That's a thing. We've been talking about a couple different things, and listener Captain Cook, who's been in the comments for the last couple of weeks, was talking about Gary's penchant for removing wealth from players. Now, in Gary's opinion, that would be excess wealth. You don't want them getting too comfortable. Some players would say, giveth and taketh away doesn't seem, giveth or don't giveth, but don't taketh away. And so there's a little pushback from some players when it comes to DMs. Instances where DMs will find ways to remove wealth from players and keep them hungry. But let's check out this section, and we'll talk about it afterwards. Each player character will automatically expend not less than 100 gold pieces per level of experience per month. This is simply support, upkeep, equipment, and entertainment expense. These costs are to be deducted by the Dungeon Master automatically, and any further spending by the PC will be added to these costs. Such expense is justified by the quote-unquote fact that adventurers are a freewheeling and high-living lot, parenthetically, except, of course, for monks. Other miscellaneous expenditures by player characters encompass such things as additional equipment expense for henchmen or hirelings, cost of hirelings, bribes, cost of locating prospective henchmen, and so on. To such costs are to be added maintenance of henchmen, 100 gold piece per level per month. This is in addition to all treasure shares. Maintenance of stronghold, 1% of the total cost of the stronghold per month. So these expenses, they add up, don't they? Finally, any taxation or other levies must be taken into consideration, along with contributions to the player character's religious organization. All of these costs will help assure the PCs have a keen interest in going out and adventuring in order to support themselves and their many associates and holdings. You may reduce costs according to prevailing circumstances if you feel it is warranted, but even doing so should not give rise to excess funds on hand in the campaign. Well, I tell you, that's a lot of nickel and diming. Sorry, copper piecing and no, silver piecing and gold piecing. The player characters from their hard-earned, huh? It's got to be an interesting conversation every DM has when players start to gather up some wealth, and they got to live from day to day. Now remember, in a more modern campaign, or let's just say in games that use modern interpretations of the rules, I'm not so sure that this is applicable because they just have a different sensibility about it. You gain wealth, you spend it, you do your upkeep, you spend it. You have periodic sessions of bookkeeping and, check everybody and make sure that they're paying for the things that they need to pay for. And certainly there are campaigns that I've run that don't get together all that often, and spending time at the table doing bookkeeping. Now, when you do, it's level up time for whatever reason. Players love leveling up, so they don't mind doing a little bookkeeping then. But if you're only getting in 3 or 6 hours a month around the game table and everybody's struggling with their schedules so that they can get together, it's kind of hard to take up much time at the table saying, okay, and don't forget, there's 100 gold pieces there. And which henchmen do you have? You got this guy, and this guy, and they're this level, and this is to calculate how much all that's going to be and deducted from you. Sometimes it's easier just to not give as much treasure and to occasionally describe the concept that player characters are paying for these items. The Vince himself is in the chat. I think I just caught his attention with that 1% of the total cost of Stronghold per month. He and his campaign gang recently cleared out a tower that's in his name on the deed. My character owns the newest hotspot in the moors. Wonder how much he's going to have to dish out. Well, 1% of the total cost of the Stronghold per month. And, I mean, we can do all that math and figure it out, but I don't know if we want to take time at the game table to do it. And, there are ways to hand wave and kind of lessen the impact of the game time involved in doing these things by just figuring it out behind the scenes and informing the players, hey, this is what it costs. You can walk away from the Stronghold. You can just hop on your horse if you have one. Don't forget, your horse needs to be fed every day, and that's a monthly cost too. So, and straps break on backpacks and barding and saddles, and, you got to keep that stuff up. Are you stabling this horse? There's stable hands that need to be paid for too. So, there is an extension of the life of a player character that all winds up being expensive in the long run. And the more you have, the more you need individuals and a support crew around you. And the more you have of that, the more expensive it gets. So Gary thought it was very important to make all of this plain. But there's a motivation there for the DM, according to Gary, to reduce costs according to prevailing circumstance if you feel it warranted, but even if you do so doing, should not give rise to excess funds on hand in the campaign. In other words, if you've got hordes of wealth, you probably shouldn't. Chances are any extra money laying around is going to lead to lazy adventurers and a lack of adventuring. So let's leave it at that and just say, hey, this is something to consider. I think Captain Cook 999, I think, will have something to say about this, hopefully, in the comments. I think this is kind of the essence of what we were going back and forth about discussing, and we were in agreement that Gary did not like having lazy adventurers with lots of extra money laying around and would find ways to part them from their fool's gold. Anyway, there you go. Thank you very much. We've been looking at the first edition Dungeon Master's Guide section on player character expenses here on the OK Grognard Show. Hey, you know, the show streams live on Twitch each Wednesday at 10 a.m. Central. Then it's archived on YouTube. But let me say, next week will be the last show of this year, and then we're on the winter hiatus, which will probably be through the first week of February. So, you know, it's a little longer than normal, but there's been an undue number of Wednesdays, so it just kind of worked out that way. And hey, also, I'm considering maybe switching the show off of Wednesday, so I won't make that decision until I come back, but there'll be announcements posted here and there. Thank you very much for jumping in the chat there, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there who's in America and celebrates it. Very much appreciated. We'll be back next week with another show. We'll talk about the state of the show and what's going on with the hiatus and all of that other stuff and other upcoming things. So keep that in mind. Hey, one more announcement before I disappear into the sunset. I do believe if you're a GaryCon attendee and DM, I think you got to get your events in before the 1st of December, at least by the current schedule. So don't forget to check that out. All right. There's the, hey, support the channel, even at the free level on Patreon. Join such illustrious others as Tom Tullis of Fat Dragon Games, Carlos Lysing of Castle Entertainment, Heath Farndon of the End of D&D 20, Dave O'Brien, unauthorized user, Dethangel's Shadow, Heidi and Eric Gygax Garland of Gaxland, Vince Ragusa of the Maroon Room, an excellent prog rock band, Daniel Caldwell of Griffin and Gargoyle, Martin Thomas of Daddy Rolled a One, an excellent YouTube channel, Christian Garcia, Stephanie Lesniewski-Gruchow, Cera Toppilopkus, Colin Szablewski, and as always, Shane Bradley, DM Extraordinaire. This has been the OK Grognard Show from beautiful Lake Geneva. Bye-bye.